So we notice inconsistencies. The problem is when you're excluded, the first thing you're going to ask yourself in your internal monologue is why? Why me? And it makes you feel quite often like you're not valued or appreciated. It can feel a bit dehumanising. And that impacts on your self-concepts and what you feel about yourself. Because other humans, it feels like they've taken an active decision to exclude you. And that means that, you're not part of the group. You're not part of the people. You're on the outside. It adds additional stress. And especially for, again, people of lesser privilege, it adds to that minority stress, that overall allostatic load of stress that we have that can get to a point where it becomes chronic and, then has a detrimental impact on our health. But the big thing, like I was saying about belonging being a really important well-being factor, if you're excluded, it decreases that belonging and then removes that from being something that can push your well-being forward. And then there's that wider ecosystem in how workplaces work. Because if you're excluded, you become less trusting. It kind of knocks your bank of trust in others. And we all know how important trust is in the employee experience. And when you don't trust, you're less likely to collaborate. You're less likely to, come together and work in teams because you already feel like, you're not as valuable. But you start to become a little bit less trusting of others. And that means you're less likely to engage. And that in itself can cause sometimes one of two things. For people to become hyper engaged in the work and become, at increased risk of burnout, or become disengaged from the work and start to lose that motivation and satisfaction that comes with doing a good job, and people start to drift, and it impacts on a similar way on your own social hobbies. People become less attracted to achieving those. So ultimately, it creates a whole set of risks that put people at risk of poor well-being from a number of different angles. And because this already impacts people often who are of lesser privilege, you sit in demographics, whether it be due to race or gender, disability or sexuality, socioeconomic or cultural, they're already at risk of amplified microaggressions, lower levels of opportunity. They're already at risk of more likely to be having challenges in wider society. It just adds to that burden. And that, again, makes us think about how that then plays out when people try and be well. In fact, it heightens health inequalities. And that decreases health outcomes for people who are excluded. And it's just a sad reality that it's that way. But we have an ability in the workplace to hit people at a more universal level and really make a difference.